Well, it's in no shock to you that after the Oklahoma Sooners had gotten Nwaneri on campus for this past weekend's official visitors list, that there might not be some hype. Well, no, let me rephrase that. But there is some hype around the Oklahoma defensive line recruiting. And guys, what this defensive line can potentially be. If you guys follow me on Twitter, you guys have maybe seen the banter going back and forth with a specific defensive end and what you've seen posted from a offensive lineman that's currently at the University of Oklahoma from Lee Summit North and Caden Green. And guys, I think it's something we got to talk about because the expectations in 2024 are high, rightfully so. But I think people are undervaluing exactly who some of these prospects are and exactly what Oklahoma's defensive line could be when they go into the SEC. So, guys, I want to hear from you. Go ahead, jump down in the comments below, and let me know what y'all's thoughts are. Ultimately, how many guys do you think Oklahoma gets on the defensive line? Who do you think they get on the defensive line? I want to hear from y'all. And if you haven't already, go ahead and hit that like and hit the subscribe button. So, Caden Green yesterday posted a photo of him, Isaiah Mosey, Williams Nwaneri, and if you're familiar with both of those guys, they are Lee Summit North, former Lee Summit North teammates, because Caden Green's no longer at Lee Summit North, but former Lee Summit North teammates of his. Isaiah Mosey is the son of Jamar Mosey, so you got a little bit of OU legacy there. And then, of course, Williams Nwaneri, the number 3 overall prospect in the 247 composite rankings. But it ultimately gained the attention of a specific 4-star edge rusher out of Missouri that I think a lot of people need to be focused on. And that's going to be the 6'3", 220-pound defensive end out of Liberty North, Kansas City, Missouri, Jayshawn Ross. Now, if you have had any following in this recruitment for a while, you know that Parker Thune over at Rivals and a couple other guys have talked pretty highly of Jayshawn Ross. And by no shock and surprise, because, well, when you look at what Jayshawn Ross is capable of, not only does he play defensive end in high school, but he plays a little bit of wide receiver. So that means the kid is athletic. And he's got the ability to be an explosive edge rusher for the Sooners, which is kind of what you need. And being a dual sport athlete, it falls into exactly what we've talked about with everybody else that Oklahoma is recruiting. Oklahoma is recruiting guys that are just extremely athletic. They're not specifically one sport focused and they're not one position focused, right? They're flexible, they're movable. Hence Williams Nwaneri. He can play the interior defensive line. He can play the edge position. He can drop out to coverage. There's so many different possibilities and things that you can do with Williams Nwaneri, which is why the staff pretty much has made him almost their, if not their top target of this cycle. But getting back to Jayshawn Ross, because this is the one that I think has intrigued so many people on Twitter with his interactions with OU fans, Caden Green. And, I mean, if you pay attention to his Instagram, he's had an OU picture up there for quite a while. Now, if you're kind of wondering how explosive is this kid, well, let me tell you. 40-yard dash ran a 4.49. So imagine getting another defensive end that is that explosive off that line. A guy that's going to be able to wreak havoc and cause problems, not only for the running backs that are coming out of the backfield, but the quarterbacks. And you've got other explosive guys on this team right now. PJ Adebayo, you have our Mason Thomas, who are great young talents. And you add a Jayshawn Ross to that room, and then a potentially whatever else Oklahoma could get on the defensive end spot, which could be a Zena Yumio Azulu, who is teammates with Michael Hawkins down there in Allen, Texas. Or you could get a Danny Okoye from Tulsa, Oklahoma, a guy that a lot of Oklahoma fans, including myself, didn't even think Oklahoma had a shot for. And I get it. A lot of people are impressed about the stars and where the guy is ranked in the composite. You know, he's only a 285 ranked player nationally. I know a lot of you guys would say it's not a big loss if Oklahoma lost him, but I think Jayshawn Ross has actually a huge impact to what Oklahoma is able to do in the future. And here's what I mean by that. He's from Liberty North, Kansas City, Missouri. You want to be able to establish a pipeline and the ability to recruit in that area. So landing a Jayshawn Ross for Brent Venables, Todd Bates, and Miguel Chavis, this is important. This is a priority target because you need to establish that Oklahoma is going to come in there, and when they want somebody in that area, they're going to take them. It's just simple, and that's just how it is. Because when you look at historically who recruits the Kansas and Missouri area really well, Kansas, Kansas State, Mizzou, and Nebraska. Nebraska, who's got Matt Rule out there, who's definitely going to be doing a good job. And a guy that is going to be wanted by Matt Rule is Jayshawn Ross. Because Jayshawn Ross is not a scrub. Jayshawn Ross is actually going to be able to provide much needed talent, much needed depth to wherever he goes. At 6'4", 220 pounds, we talked about it with that speed. The kid truly is incredible. Now, looking at his film a little bit, you're going to be able to see a little bit of kind of what we're seeing and what we're talking about. I'm going to get that pulled up real quick. Again, guys, I never have the film ready. I never have it ready. It's like I never learned from my mistakes. Okay. We'll play it right here. Again, see, you kind of just see that speed off the line. And this is these are things that Oklahoma has been missing here. You're going to see him play a little bit of wide receiver, which I like this ability because I'm not saying he's going to play wide receiver in college, but I like the aspect that you're going out there and, I mean, you're seeing it right here playing wide receiver. You're seeing the strength. You're seeing the ability to block. You're seeing the speed. And I think that's important because, again, what you want in your defensive end, you want a guy that's going to be able to get to the quarterback. If you look at Oklahoma's problem last year with the defensive line, it's they weren't getting to the quarterback fast enough. Now, we're going to let this film continue to play so you guys can look at Jayshawn Ross while we continue to talk about this defensive line, because I want to talk about exactly how special this defensive line could be for Oklahoma in 2024, because I think a lot of people are undervaluing exactly what impact these kids can make to Oklahoma in terms of how people view them, especially on the defensive side of the ball, because defense has not been Oklahoma's focal point and not been Oklahoma's strength over the past couple of years. We all saw that with Lincoln Riley. You would have games that were 53-50. That's just how it was. That's what we were used to. And it all starts on this defensive line because, honestly, I think Oklahoma's secondary is just solid. And I don't think they're going to have a bad linebacker room. I think Samuel Masigo, Lewis Carter, Phil Picciotti, those guys will be stars. I think you see Dasan McCullough play that Cheetah role very, very well. But I also think you see him play quite a few snaps at defensive end. But looking at this defensive line for Oklahoma, let's just look at what you have there now. You have extremely young talent, PJ Adebayor, R. Mason Thomas, Dasan McCullough. You got a guy that you got last year in the cycle that's playing a little bit of the interior, Derek LeBlanc. Okay? You've got Grayson Halton from 2022. You've got guys like Marcus Strong and Ashton Sanders. Oklahoma has been doing things on the recruiting trail on the defensive line that I don't think we've necessarily seen Oklahoma do for a while. And I get it. We missed on David Hicks well, I'm not going to really call it a miss, but we didn't get David Hicks last half. We didn't get Edric Hill, which, I mean, that one's a little bit on the staff because they prioritized other guys, but that's kind of the things that they have to do. We missed Jordan Renaud, but you were right there in the battle with Alabama. But in 2024, you would look at some of these guys and say Oklahoma is the leader, like a Williams Nwaneri or a David Stone, maybe even a Nigel Smith. You look at what Nwaneri could potentially provide to the Oklahoma Sooners. Now, I get it. A lot of people believe that recruitment is trending in the direction of Georgia. And I agree with you. It's probably not likely at this point that Joseph Jonah Ajonye is a part of this class, even though we really want him to. But even without Joseph Jonah Ajonye, this defensive line class is still going to be special. It still can be special. David Stone, Williams Nwaneri, Nigel Smith. Let's say you land Jaden Jackson because friends with David Stone. Looks like he wants to play with David Stone. So let's say you land Jaden Jackson. And then let's say on the edge, you land a Jayshawn Ross and a Danny Okoye. That is the best defensive line class that Oklahoma probably has ever landed. And with the additional young talent that Oklahoma currently has, what they could be returning in 2024, you could be saying Oklahoma has one of the best defensive line rooms in the country with true freshmen on that team. So that's saying a lot. And I get it. We might be hyping all of this up, and a lot of these guys might not come because one day a guy could love Oklahoma. The next day he could go to Penn State, and Penn State could make just one hell of a recruiting pitch and take the kid away from Oklahoma. It happens. That's recruiting. But I don't think Todd Bates is missing on a lot of these guys that he missed on last half. And I don't think Miguel Chavis is in the business of losing some of these guys either. So again, with Jayshawn Ross and with some of the other guys that we expect Oklahoma to land, I think Oklahoma is shaped up to have a tremendous defensive line class. Like I said, I'll put it out there. I'll stick my neck out there, and I'll be the first to say I'm wrong when I'm wrong. David Stone, Williams Nwaneri, Nigel Smith, Jaden Jackson, Danny Okoye, Jayshawn Ross. I would like to have Zena Yumio Azulu, but I'm not sure they want to take that many edge guys. And at that point, Williams Nwaneri, he might get that wish. Put him against the weaker offensive lineman. Let him play a little bit of the interior. Let him play edge with PJ Adebayor or Jayshawn Ross or Mason Thomas or whoever you want to put out there. The possibilities are endless. Now, I will say this. We talked a little bit about Williams Nwaneri, and you guys might ask, hey, how did that official go? Okay, if you want to know more and you want to know kind of what I've seen, why I'm excited, go over to Rivals. And if you're not subscribed, you need to be subscribed because Parker Thune over at Rivals, used to be with 247, wrote a tremendously great article on Williams Nwaneri and how that visit went and what that looked like. And if you want to know more, that's the place you got to go. You got to go there, maybe just for that article. Go find me at ThePGShow _ over on Twitter. Hit my profile. You guys will see the link there. You guys can go subscribe. You guys can go sign up. Guys, Parker and Brandon, they're some of the best insiders, I would think, in this industry. I know sometimes they get it wrong, but it's recruiting. That's just how it works. So, guys, if you haven't already, go ahead, hit that like, hit that subscribe button, jump down in the comments below, and let me know what y'all's thoughts are, right? We're giving you a reaction. We're giving you my thoughts, but I want to hear from you guys. What do you think this defensive line looks like in 2024? Who do you think the Oklahoma Sooners